All right, well, continuing at the plot here, going into the soybeans. Soybeans this year we're showcasing not only existing and new varieties to find out differences in yield comparisons, but we're also showcasing a lot of different trials that we're doing here in this plot, and just a little bit later I'll talk about some of the field trials that we're doing. The plot this year contains the regular RR2 and the Extend, as well as the new Enlist varieties. We have several new Enlist varieties that we'll talk about as we move our way down the plot. We're just going to move our way from east to west. The Czech variety this year is Thunder 79009E, which is the new Enlist variety from Thunder. And we're starting out with a couple of population trials here, 180,000, and then moving on to 150,000. Each variety is 12 rows, so you just got to keep that in mind. The signs are in the middle of each 12-row strip. So we're going to move along to our first variety in the variety trials. One of our best-selling varieties and still one of the best yielders, full season variety Astro. It's 007, 008 maturity. As you can see again, it's one of the taller plants. If you want a big beefy variety, this is definitely the one. RR2 does extremely well in the southern half of the Red River Valley. It's got one of the best IDC scores of a 1.5, 1.6. So if you want to put it on tough ground, this would be one choice of several that we have to seed on tougher ground in terms of heavy soil, poorly drained, or slightly high in salinity. Moving along, Legend Seeds varieties. We have the Eclipse variety here, and that's about a 006 maturity, and followed by Pro 2525, which is a Pro Seed variety that has been around for a few years, good yielder, but will actually be discontinued next year. So this variety will no longer be available. And then Mistral, which has been a good variety as well, good IDC. Last year did not do quite as well for some reason, but has been very good in the past. So we'll see how that does this year. So moving along to what were the Mazex soybean varieties, there's been a relationship formed between Brett Young and Mazex and Co-op Frederic that now will carry the former Mazex soybean varieties under the Elite trademark. This is a brand new variety called Renuka. Very interesting variety. Very long, narrow leaves. It's a 006 maturity, I believe. We haven't seen it in the fields, but new to the plots. Looks very promising. If I go in and look at some of the height, so we are waist high here, and opening up, we see a lot of pods, just full of pods. Nice pod height, several inches off the ground. Good pod fill in the bottom, still filling on the top. These beans would be approximately R6 maturity. And we have another variety from the Elite label here called Akron. We had this in the plots last year. This variety did very well in the plots last year. I think out of 20 varieties, it was probably in the top 6. So tiny bit shorter, but nearly as tall. Good pod development. We'll see how this variety does again next year. Pro Grain, besides having the IP non-GMO varieties, which a number of producers are starting to grow because of the $2 premiums on the production to gain a higher gross revenue per acre. We also have the regular traded varieties, and this is their new variety. It's an E3. It's a new Enlist variety. It doesn't have a name yet, but looks very promising. Also a tall variety, nearly waist tall. If we look at it, pods well, quite high. Pods are now full, so R6 maturity. Pods thin on top, and even with the drought, we'll see that most of the pods are forming on top. And although we haven't got the rains that we have been hoping for in the last 3 weeks. You see pod development right to the top here, which is quite awesome. This site in total would have had about 6.8 inches of rain this year, and that is about 55% of normal. So we're way behind on rainfall, but until about 3-4 weeks ago, we were getting very timely rains, kind of just in the nick of time, and just small amounts. We still have not had an inch of rain in one rain this year. In fact, the last time we got a full inch of rain was in 2016. So to have a plot looking like this, probably one of my best plots ever in terms of appearance, is just amazing on 6.8 inches of rain. Moving along, Dugaldo, which has been out for 3 years now. Good solid performer. Not the greatest IDC, but it seems to recover very quickly when IDC does strike. And I'm not sure if IDC really affects this variety very much. I've grown it on my farm for about 3 years now, maybe even 4. And a couple of years when it did get IDC, it snapped out of it very quickly and still produced one of my better yielding fields. Now, I think you should also note that with IDC, although it is a very important consideration, any field that comes out of an IDC attack, usually if it comes out of it in 12 to 15 days, you won't see a drop in yield. If it hangs around 2 weeks or even a bit longer, that's when you start seeing some yield decreases. So this is a good solid variety from Pro Grain, and again, that's an Extend variety. Extend becoming so important now as we're having trouble controlling kochia, tall lamb's quarters. That seems to get away some years from the regular Roundup applications. When those weeds are 6-8 inches tall, it seems like dicamba will take care of them quite readily, much better than Roundup alone. Kudo is a new Pro Grain variety. The Dugaldo is about a 006 maturity. This I think will be a 005. Good IDC on this variety, 1.7 I believe it is, and looks like a strong, healthy variety. Most of the varieties in the plot are waist high to maybe a little bit shorter. This one, for example, is slightly less than waist high. Again, looking at this pod development, like most varieties, the pods are very full. It seems to pod a little higher, this variety. Perhaps 2.5-3 inches off the ground. Let's see what the yield does, but again, you'll notice how it's podded right to the top. Don't see too many aborted flowers. At the very top, you'll see some aborted flowers, which is surprising that we don't see more of that with all the heat and lack of rain that we've had. Now moving into the Thunder lineup, starting with the earliest and making its way to the full maturity. 87003 has been around for a few years, since it came around in 2017. Has been a very solid variety. This and Astro would be the best IDC tolerant varieties that Thunder offers. Very strong, year before last, highest yielder in the province in many different risk areas. In fact, pretty much highest yielder across the province. Last year performed well again, just slightly less. Very seldom that a variety will be top year after year. But this is a good solid variety. It's rated as a 003. I would rate it more as a 004 maturity. So it's on the earlier side, a low risk variety to grow. You'll see some of the different colors here. We have a new variety here, 89004. And of course, everything that is R2X is Extend traded, so it can be sprayed with dicamba. I don't know a lot about this variety except that it's a 004 maturity. It's a good tall variety. It's in that 004 maturity, but I noticed the pods on this are also quite high off the ground. So it's one where now the pod fill on top is much more progressed because it's a little bit earlier. And then moving into the 88007. This is probably my favorite Thunder variety as of last year. It's a big, tall, showy variety. It's probably one of the nicest looking varieties that we have to date. I'll show you another one coming up that might compete with it. Good, tall, very bushy, well suited to 30-inch rows, and of course can also be seeded in narrow, solid seeding or narrow row applications. Very leafy variety, lots of plant material, lots of pod height, lower pod height, also filled to the top, and a number of 4-inch beans, pardon me, 4 bean pods. We see that more this year than I'd ever noticed it before, which is amazing too with the dryness, that we have so many 4 bean pods this year. If we can just get this to fill, that'll come to a good yield in the end, I know. 88007, highest selling variety last year. 89009, this is a brand new variety. It's been rated as a 009 maturity. I sort of doubt that when I look at pod development. It does not seem to be that late at all. If you want big, if size matters, this would be the variety. This is the tallest variety we have. This is a couple of inches over my belt. This is what looks to be the showiest, biggest variety in the plot. This with Astro perhaps right behind it. Very tall. And even with 009 maturity, 3-inch beans, 3-inch pods, 3 bean pods at the top. Very few abortions on the top flowers. Still forming new pods. Just still could use some rain. Fantastic pod height on this variety. Pods you'll see are not quite as full as on some of the earlier varieties. Lots, anywhere you look you can see a 4 bean pod. It's just amazing. So 4 bean pods, so easy to find. Never as easy. Some years you have to look for them. This year they are just so easy to find. We're hoping for some rain that will carry this through maturity. And if you look even from the side, 3 bean pods everywhere on top. Very often you'll see 1 and 2 bean and the odd 3 bean pod on top. Here you see so many 3 bean pods, just boom, 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 they're everywhere. So we're hoping those pods can fill and get a good seed size, and that'll take some rain because right now we're extremely dry. That variety is planted the regular way with in-furrow, and I guess I should have mentioned that all these varieties were planted with soy rhizo on seed and the Verdesian lift kit in furrow, as well as Accolade, Heads Up, and pre-seed. Those are all the seed treatments applied on seed and in furrow. Then as well, we quickly want to just discuss some of the other trials we did here. We tried this variety, 89009, the regular way with the products I mentioned, and here in the next 12-row trial with no in-furrow at all. A lot of talk about that these days, and we've been showing that number of years to be a difference. We'll see what it does this year. The last 4 trials are 79009, showcasing Heads Up with and without Heads Up. And then at the far side we have our last population trial of 150 and 180,000, the same as at the far east side of the plot, looking at the variations of how the plot goes from side to side, helping us determine our coefficient of variation. So that's the plot this year. Lots of stuff to find yield data on. We have field trials of corn comparing popular varieties of competitors versus our varieties. Masex 1688 versus 1624. We have trials of Avail with and without in the field size multi-replication, 6 and 8x replications, Avail, Accolade, and different types of fertilizer in furrow. All those results will of course be talked about at our winter meeting and given to you, but this is just a quick showing on August 19th in the morning, beautiful sunny morning, to determine, or just to give you an idea of what is happening at the plot this year. Thanks.